What do you use to buy everyday things? Did you say cash? Oh, you said a debit card. Okay, yeah, I thought so. Any successful person in the world, as of 1989, will tell you that building your credit is one of the most important aspects of your finances. As a matter of fact, the difference between good and bad credit when buying a house can cost you an additional $100,000, and that is on top of the already record-breaking housing prices we're seeing right now. So unless losing 100K isn't really much for you, in which case, why are you watching this video, you can clearly see the importance of building your credit. And take it from me, the only thing you really need to start building your credit is a, what is that thing called? A credit card. Who knew, right? Obtaining a credit card is one of the best decisions that I've made on my personal finance journey. So today I want to teach you how and when to use your credit card, how to build your credit score, and how to maximize on the rewards you make because they really start to add up. I want to start by addressing a very common misconception, and that's that if you check your credit score, you'll lower it. And that's not necessarily true. There are two different ways to check your credit score. One of those ways is a soft check, and the other way, you guessed it, is a hard check. A soft check is when your credit score is viewed as a result of a background check. So this can be when your employer runs a background check on you before you get hired, or maybe when you're applying for an apartment, or even if I go on my phone right now on my app and I personally check my credit score, that would be considered a soft check. This does not affect your credit score whatsoever, so never be afraid to check on your credit score. It's always good to know where you stand with your finances. Now, a hard check is when someone looks at your credit score before making a lending decision. This can be for a mortgage, or maybe a loan for a car, a loan in general, or when you're applying for a new credit card. These hard checks do have an impact on your credit score, so it's very important to avoid having too many of these at one time. Hard checks actually make up 10% of your credit score, but more on this later. Now, the difference between becoming financially free and being stuck in the rat race could solely be based on how you use your credit card. Those who are financially free understand the power of credit, and they see it as a powerful tool that can be used to get ahead in life. Those who maybe don't have a great understanding of financial literacy see your credit card as an opportunity to spend money they don't have yet. I want to make it very clear, never use your credit card as a replacement for money you don't have. Only ever use your credit card to buy something that you already have the money for to buy at that very moment in full, okay? However, avoiding credit cards altogether because you're afraid they cause bad debt can be just as detrimental as overusing a credit card. So we need to make sure that we understand when we should be using a credit card. Now, if this isn't for you, the other options will be, but I personally recommend using your credit card every chance you have. Keep in mind that when you're first starting out, your credit limit might be low. So you want to make sure you're not using more than 30% of your credit limit. This will actually help you build your credit score. But again, I'll get into the details a little later. So let's say you want to avoid using your credit card altogether, maybe for self-control reasons. Here are situations where you definitely should be using your credit card over a debit card. If you didn't already know this, credit cards offer fraud liability protections, which debit cards do not. Meaning credit cards offer fewer risks when shopping online. To put it simple, when fraud occurs on your debit card, you have to fight to get your money back. The credit card institution has to fight to get their money back because you purchased the item on credit. Honestly, just avoid untrusted sites in the first place so you can, avoid fraud altogether. Now again, don't avoid using your credit card completely because if you don't use it, it'll cause a period of inactivity, which can cause your account to be closed. Which brings me to my next point. Recurring payments are a great way to use a credit card because it's a consistent amount that you know is coming in, so it's always keeping your line of credit open. This can be used for monthly utilities, memberships, subscriptions. I use it for my gym membership on my Discover card just to keep that line of credit open, even though I don't use that card anymore. Anything that you know is going to be consistent and often and not some outrageous amount where you have to worry about your evolving utilization, which I'll explain now. There are 5 factors that impact your credit score, and some matter more than others. The total number of accounts that you have makes up 10% of your credit score. The length of your credit makes up 15%. The number of hard checks, as we mentioned earlier, that you have on your account within the last year makes up 10% of your credit score. The number of missed payments that you have makes up 35% of your credit score, and your revolving utilization makes up 30% of your credit score. Now, I'll address these in terms of most important. Your number of missed payments is, well, it's the number of payments that you've missed. That's pretty simple. This can actually stay on your credit report for as much as 7.5 years. This should never happen, especially because you're using my advice on only using your credit card on something that you can afford to pay right now, right? Now, if you think you might forget to pay your balance even though you have the money to pay for it, put a weekly reminder on your phone reminding you to pay your balance. This will make sure that you never miss anything, and it'll also keep your revolving utilization low. Now, your revolving utilization is the amount you owe as a percentage of your credit limit. So if my credit limit is $10,000 and I buy something for $500, that means that my revolving utilization would be 5%. That's because 5% of my $10,000 credit limit is $500. Allowing your revolving utilization to go above 30% can be harmful to your credit score. So you want to really make sure you're keeping an eye on this, especially when you have a smaller credit limit. You basically just want to make sure you're keeping this as low as possible, which is why I prioritize paying my balance off as soon as I can. Now, let's say two people have credit cards. Person A, Eden, has a credit limit of $10,000. Person B, Levi, has a credit limit of $1,000. Now, let's say both of these people use their credit card to buy a $500 item. Now, the revolving utilization for Eden would be 5%, but the revolving utilization for Levi would be 50%, because 500 is 50% of 1,000, while 500 is only 5% of 10,000. Therefore, even though they both charged for the same amount, only one person's credit score is going to be negatively affected by this charge. I really hope that made sense. Bottom line, make sure your revolving utilization is in the single digits. Now, the length of your credit is based on the age of your oldest account. Pretty straightforward, I know, but this is also why it's so important to make sure you start early, which is a very, very common theme in finance. Very. The number of hard checks, as we mentioned earlier, is when someone views your credit score as a result of trying to make a lending decision. Again, avoid applying to too many things at once. Lastly, the total number of accounts is pretty straightforward. It's how many credit cards or loans you have. This shows lenders you can handle a variety of different credit accounts. A good rule of thumb is to avoid applying for a new credit card within 6 months of each other. Maximizing your rewards is actually really simple, and one of the biggest rewards you get is by activating a sign-up bonus when you get a new card. This can range up to like $1,000 just for activating a card. And although those sign-up bonuses sound really juicy, make sure you prioritize a company that has good customer service and even better reward opportunities. Now, your rewards heavily depend on the card you're using. So if you're just starting out and you have something like a Discover It cashback card, which is what I had, the only real reward you're getting there is cash back. But if you want to maybe level up, travel a bit more, it is worth looking into a higher level card. I was personally choosing between American Express or Chase, and I ended up going with Chase because there were too many situations where American Express wasn't accepted internationally as much as Visa or MasterCard were. Now, with these higher tier cards, the money you spend is turned into points. Now, you can use points for a lot of different things, but they're most popularly used as cash back, or if you want to really get your value out of them, you can turn your points into points with a travel reward partner. This gets you really, really good deals on hotels and flights. This is obviously a personal preference, so you need to do a bit of research to see what kind of credit card is best for you. Or you can stick around, hit the subscribe button. I don't want to tell you what to do or anything, but I may have a guide coming out on what the best credit card is for you. Wink. Now, one of the ways that you can maximize on the rewards you're getting is by keeping an eye out on categories that are offering extra bonuses. For example, if I need to book a flight and Chase offers 5 times rewards by using their travel portal, then it's a no-brainer for me to book through them, especially for big purchases like a hotel or flights. However, I do have one thing to note. Try not to let the rewards that you're being offered impact how you're spending your money. For example, don't only book hotels through your credit card company's site because you want those points when you easily could have found a better price for the same hotel on some other website. Another example is for credit cards with annual fees. I definitely advise avoiding these when you're first starting out. For these, you might need to pay a few $100s for an annual fee, and then you'll try to justify it because there's certain credits that you get with that card, but it's credits for things that you would never even be spending money on in the first place. So anyway, that's a different topic for a different day. The bottom line is make sure you're using your credit card as much as you can within your 30% utilization rate. The more you spend, the more you earn. Make sure you're maximizing your rewards, but don't prioritize maximizing rewards over building your credit score. You want to make sure you're prioritizing building your credit score. Now that is going to be it from me. I hope you learned something new today. If you have any questions about your personal scenario, go ahead and leave them down below in the comments, and I'm going to do my absolute best to make sure that I can help you out. Now I have a few links to some brokerages that I've personally used down below. You'll get some free stocks if you haven't already opened an account with them. But yeah, that's going to be it for me. I got another book to get back to. As always, I hope you have a fantastic day, week, and stay smart.
俺の名はセレン・イエガー